Awaken the Soul. The Quest for Purpose and Personal Wisdom. Introduction. Entering the portal of growth, development, and adventure. Welcome to your adventure life. Is a wild ride full of twists, turns, bumps, and moments of pure exhilaration. You've probably heard the saying, "The journey is the destination." But what does that really mean? Well, buckle up, because this book is your personal guide to navigating the maze of life with purpose, wisdom, and a whole lot of fun. If you're looking for a boring, step-by-step manual to figure out life, you might want to put this book down and grab a dictionary instead. But if you're ready to dive deep, explore uncharted waters, and break free from the mundane, then this is the adventure you've been waiting for. We'll explore the mysteries of growth, love, pain, and everything in between. We'll laugh, we'll cry, hopefully not too much though, and we'll definitely learn something new. You'll hear my stories, reflect on your own, and come out the other side with a fresh perspective on your life's purpose and the wisdom to walk your path with authenticity. So, let go of the shoulds and musts. This book isn't about following rules. It's about discovering what makes you tick. Grab a cup of coffee or something stronger, I won't judge, get comfy, and let's begin this wild, wonderful adventure of uncovering the beauty and purpose of your life. Ready? Let's get it. Chapter 1. The Call to Purpose. Life is an intricate and beautiful web of experiences, challenges, and triumphs. Often, we move through our days as if we are drifting down a river, simply following the current without a real sense of direction. We do the things we are expected to do, live according to what society deems normal, and we rarely stop to ask ourselves the question that can transform everything. What is my purpose in life? I remember the first time I truly asked this question. It was during a period of deep inner turmoil. I had everything on paper: a career, friends, a family, an apartment in a beautiful city. But inside, I felt like something was missing. There was a disconnect between the life I was living and the life I felt I was meant to be living. I was simply going through the motions, but something inside me kept tugging at my soul, asking me to stop and listen. One evening, I decided to spend some time alone, reflecting on my life. I climbed to the roof of my apartment building, where I could see the entire city spread out before me. The sounds of the streets below were distant, almost muffled, and I felt a sense of stillness in the air. It was as if the world was holding its breath. And in that moment of stillness, I asked myself, what is my purpose? It felt like the most important question I could ask. In that silence, the answers didn't come all at once. But slowly, over the course of the next few months, I began to understand something profound. Purpose is not something we simply find, it's something we create. It's not a destination, but a journey. It's not a prize to be won, but a path to walk. It's not something external, it's something deeply internal. Something that flows from the core of who we are. The path to purpose isn't easy. There are so many distractions, so many competing voices telling you what you should do, what you ought to be. But when you tune in to your own heart, when you allow your soul to speak, you begin to hear the whisper of your true calling. What I've learned is that the most important thing you can do is embrace the uncertainty. The beauty of life lies in the not knowing. When we are open to the unknown, we leave room for miracles to unfold. The journey toward purpose is not a straight line. It is messy, unpredictable, and full of learning. But it is also rich, colorful, and meaningful in ways we can't always anticipate. Let's break it down a little further. Purpose isn't always about having one singular goal. It's about finding what brings you the most joy, where your energy flows effortlessly, and where you feel most connected to yourself and the world. I've met many people who think purpose is about a job or a career. And yes, sometimes it is. But more often than not, it's about something deeper, a sense of meaning that touches everything you do. Over time, I began to take small steps that led me closer to my purpose. I explored new activities, took up new hobbies, and reconnected with passions I had long neglected. But the most important thing I did was embrace the uncomfortable moments, the moments of doubt and confusion. Those moments, I now realize, are where growth happens. So, what is your purpose? It's time for you to ask yourself the same question. And remember, the answer isn't something you find immediately, it's something you uncover through living, through trying, through failing, and through growing. Your purpose is not out there in the world. It's inside of you, waiting to be discovered. And when you connect with it, everything in your life will shift. Chapter 2. The power of knowing yourself. In a world where we are constantly being told who we should be, it's easy to lose sight of who we truly are. We become so caught up in the expectations of others, in the noise of the world, that we forget to ask ourselves the most important question of all. Who am I? For so long, I was trying to be what everyone else wanted me to be. I was chasing the approval of others, trying to fit into molds that didn't suit me, and living a life that wasn't authentic to who I truly was. It wasn't until I faced a personal crisis that I realized just how far I had drifted from myself. I was living a life that was externally successful, but internally hollow. It was during this time of disillusionment that I decided to embark on the most important journey of all, the journey to know myself. And let me tell you, this journey wasn't easy. It wasn't about simply journaling a few thoughts or taking a personality test. It was a deep, uncomfortable process of peeling back the layers of who I thought I was and getting down to the raw, unfiltered truth of who I really am. The first thing I learned was that knowing yourself requires brutal honesty. It's easy to look at the outside world and compare yourself to others, to live your life in accordance with what others deem important, but this doesn't lead to true fulfillment. In order to truly know yourself, you have to be willing to look at the parts of you that you might have been avoiding. The shadow parts, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, the anger, and the pain. These parts of us don't make us weak. They make us human. I remember the first time I truly sat with my pain. I had spent so many years running from it, distracting myself with work, relationships, and external validation. But when I stopped running, I realized that my pain held important lessons. It was a teacher, guiding me toward a deeper understanding of who I was and what I needed to heal. Knowing yourself also means accepting yourself, flaws and all. It means embracing the fact that you will never be perfect, and that's okay. Perfection is an illusion, a trap that keeps you from living fully. When you accept yourself, all parts of yourself, you give yourself permission to be who you truly are. But knowing yourself also means recognizing your strengths. We often downplay our talents, our gifts, and the things that make us unique. But the truth is, we are all born with innate gifts that are meant to be shared with the world. The more you know yourself, the more you can tap into those gifts and use them to create the life you desire. I think of all the times I was afraid to show my true self, to be vulnerable and honest with others. I worried about being judged, about not being accepted. But the more I learned to love and accept myself, the less I cared about what others thought. I stopped waiting for external validation and started living for myself. And that was when everything began to fall into place. Knowing yourself is the key to everything. It's the foundation upon which you build your life, your relationships, and your purpose. When you know who you are, you no longer feel lost. You become anchored, rooted in your truth. And from that place of knowing, you can create a life that reflects your authentic self. Chapter 3. Creativity, the spark of life. Creativity is the energy that flows through us all. It is the force that compels us to create, to innovate, and to bring something new into the world. Creativity is often misunderstood as something reserved for artists or creatives, but the truth is, creativity is present in every single one of us. It's in the way we think, the way we approach challenges, and the way we solve problems. I didn't always see creativity in this way. For years, I thought that being creative meant drawing pictures or writing songs. It wasn't until I started looking at my life from a different perspective that I realized that creativity is in everything we do. It's the energy that allows us to transform the ordinary into something extraordinary. It's the ability to see possibilities where others see limitations. My creative journey began when I realized that I wasn't just a passive participant in my life. I was the artist. And just like an artist with a blank canvas, I had the power to shape my life however I wanted. It wasn't about waiting for inspiration to strike. It was about showing up and committing to the process, even when it felt difficult. Creativity is not always about grand gestures. It's about the small moments. It's about how you approach your day, how you solve problems, and how you interact with the world around you. Creativity is not limited to a few specific domains, it's a way of being. It's the energy that flows through every part of your life. Whether you are cooking dinner, solving a problem at work, or having a conversation with a friend, I began to embrace creativity in every area of my life. I found ways to inject it into my work, my relationships, and even my daily routines. And the more I did this, the more alive I felt. I realized that creativity is what makes life worth living. It's what allows us to take something ordinary and make it extraordinary. Creativity is the bridge between who we are and who we are becoming. Chapter 4. The Wisdom of Experience. We often hear that experience is the best teacher. But what does that really mean? Is it just about the things you learn from your mistakes, or is there something deeper? To me, experience isn't just about what happens to you, it's about what you learn from what happens to you. Life is a series of experiences, some joyous, some painful, some simple, and some complex. But it is through living fully that we gain wisdom. The wisdom we need to navigate the world, to understand ourselves, and to make better choices. Experience teaches us lessons that no book, no teacher, and no guru can. It is the ultimate teacher. I've had my fair share of difficult experiences. I've faced loss, heartbreak, failure, and deep personal challenges. But every single one of those experiences taught me something. They taught me who I truly am, what I'm capable of, and how to navigate life's most difficult moments. In hindsight, the struggles were just as important as the triumphs. The painful moments led me to the wisdom that would guide me for the rest of my life. Chapter 5. The Journey of Growth. Growth is one of the most beautiful aspects of life, yet it can be one of the most challenging. It requires us to stretch, to evolve, and to step into the unknown. Growth is a journey, a lifelong one. It doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't come without discomfort. But growth is the essence of transformation. When I look back at my life, I can see all the moments where growth occurred. Some were deliberate, conscious choices to improve myself. Others were forced upon me through challenges that I never could have predicted. I remember feeling like I was stuck in a cycle, like I had reached a plateau, and no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't moving forward. It wasn't until I accepted that growth is not linear, that it doesn't always happen in predictable ways, that I began to experience true transformation. The most profound growth happens in the moments when we are pushed outside of our comfort zone. It's easy to stay in familiar territory, to stick to what we know, but the real magic happens when we embrace the unknown. I recall a period in my life when I was forced to move to a new city, leaving behind friends, a job, and everything I knew. At first, it felt like a setback, but in hindsight, I realized that it was the greatest gift I could have received. When we are pushed to our limits, we discover strengths we never knew we had. The discomfort we feel during moments of growth is actually an invitation to break through barriers, to uncover hidden potential, and to become more of who we truly are. Growth isn't just about adding new skills or knowledge. It's about shedding old ways of thinking, old habits, and outdated beliefs. It's about transforming your perspective and seeing the world and yourself in a new light. Growth also requires patience. It's easy to want immediate results, to wish for instant change, but that's not how true transformation works. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes resilience. I've learned that growth is less about achieving something and more about becoming something. It's about evolving into the person you were always meant to be. What I've come to understand is that growth is not something you can force. You can't rush it. It will happen when you're ready, when you've done the work, and when you've allowed yourself to fully experience the process. It's a journey, one that requires you to trust yourself, trust the timing of your life, and to know that everything you go through, every challenge, every setback, every victory, is leading you closer to the person you are meant to become. Chapter 6. Embracing vulnerability. For so long, I thought vulnerability was a weakness. I believed that in order to be strong, I had to hide my emotions, put on a brave face, and act like everything was okay, even when it wasn't. But over time, I realized something important. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a strength. It is through vulnerability that we connect with others, with ourselves, and with the deeper parts of our humanity. I remember a time when I was in the midst of a difficult relationship. I was scared to open up, scared to show my true feelings, because I was afraid of being hurt. I thought that if I kept my walls up, I could protect myself from the pain. But what I failed to realize was that by not being vulnerable, I was also cutting myself off from love, connection, and intimacy. It wasn't until I allowed myself to be vulnerable that I began to experience real transformation. It was in those raw, unguarded moments that I found true connection, not only with others, but with myself. Vulnerability allowed me to open up, to let go of the masks I had been wearing, and to show up as my authentic self. And it was in that authenticity that I found healing. Vulnerability is not about weakness. It is about courage. It takes courage to be vulnerable, to show your true self, to admit your fears, and to ask for help when you need it. But it is through this vulnerability that we find strength. The more we embrace our vulnerability, the more we allow ourselves to heal, to grow, and to connect with others on a deeper level. The beauty of vulnerability is that it allows us to be human. It allows us to experience all the messy, complicated, and beautiful parts of life. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we invite others to do the same. It creates a space for deeper connection, for authentic relationships, and for mutual understanding. It is through vulnerability that we truly learn what it means to be alive. Chapter 7. The Power of Relationships. Relationships are the threads that weave the fabric of our lives. They are the people who shape us, challenge us, and support us. We are social beings, and our relationships, whether with family, friends, or romantic partners, play a crucial role in our growth and fulfillment. But as much as relationships can bring joy and connection, they can also bring pain and heartbreak. How we navigate our relationships, how we show up for others, and how we allow others to show up for us determines the quality of our lives. I've had many relationships in my life, each one leaving its mark on me. Some were deeply fulfilling, while others were toxic and draining. But each relationship taught me something valuable. They taught me about myself, about love, about boundaries, and about what it means to truly connect with another human being. One of the most important lessons I've learned about relationships is that they require effort. True relationships, those that are built on trust, love, and mutual respect, are not easy. They require vulnerability, honesty, and a willingness to grow together. I remember a period in my life when I was in a relationship that was falling apart. We had drifted so far apart that we could hardly communicate. But instead of giving up, we made the decision to work through our issues. It wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight, but through patience, understanding, and commitment, we were able to rebuild our connection. But relationships also require boundaries. There are times when we must let go of toxic connections, even if they are painful to release. It's important to know when to walk away, when to protect your peace, and when to choose yourself over the needs of others. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out. It's about creating space for healthy, balanced relationships where both parties can thrive. I've also learned that relationships are about giving and receiving. It's about being there for others when they need support and allowing them to be there for you when you need help. It's about showing up, being present, and offering love without expecting anything in return. Relationships are not transactional. They are a constant flow of energy, of support, and of care. Chapter 8. Finding peace in the present moment. In a world that is constantly moving, constantly changing, it's easy to get caught up in the rush. We are always chasing the next big thing, always looking toward the future, always planning for what's next. But the truth is, peace doesn't come from what we achieve or accumulate. Peace is found in the present moment, in the here and now. I used to spend so much of my time worrying about the future. I would stress about what might happen, about the unknowns, about the things I couldn't control. But no matter how much I worried, I never found peace. It wasn't until I learned to let go of that constant need for control, that constant need to plan and predict, that I began to experience true peace. The present moment is all we ever really have. It's the only time where life is truly happening. And yet, so often, we are so caught up in our thoughts about the past or the future that we miss the beauty of the present. I remember a time when I decided to put down my phone, to stop thinking about what was coming next, and to simply be present. It was in those moments that I found peace. Being present doesn't mean that everything is perfect or that we have everything figured out. It simply means that we are not lost in the future or stuck in the past. We are here, in this moment, fully experiencing life as it is. And when we do this, we open ourselves to the flow of life, to the beauty and peace that exists right in front of us. Chapter 9. The Art of Letting Go. Letting go is one of the most challenging yet liberating things we can do in life. It requires trust in ourselves, trust in the universe, and trust that what's meant for us will never pass us by. I used to hold on tightly to everything, believing that if I didn't control every aspect of my life, it would all fall apart. But the truth is, the more we hold on, the more we prevent ourselves from experiencing the flow of life. I can recall a specific moment when I had to let go of something deeply important to me. It was a career opportunity that I had worked tirelessly for. I had invested so much of my time, energy, and identity into it that letting go felt like losing a part of myself. But in my heart, I knew it wasn't meant for me anymore. I had outgrown that version of myself, and it was time to move on. Letting go was painful. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a precipice, unsure of what would come next. But in that moment, I discovered something profound. I realized that letting go wasn't about losing something, it was about making space for something new. It was about releasing the old, the outdated, and the unnecessary, so that I could step into a new chapter of my life. Letting go doesn't always mean walking away from something or someone. Sometimes, it's simply about changing our attachment to the past. It's about releasing the need to control the future and trusting that everything will unfold exactly as it's meant to. Letting go opens the door to freedom. It allows us to be present, to embrace what's here, and to welcome the unknown with open arms. Through the process of letting go, I learned the importance of surrender. Surrendering isn't about giving up, it's about trusting the flow of life. It's about realizing that you don't have to have everything figured out. Life has a way of working things out, even when we can't see the full picture. The art of letting go is the key to peace. It's the key to receiving all that life has to offer without resistance. Chapter 10. Living with intention in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. Living with intention becomes one of the most powerful ways to reclaim our lives. Intention is the guiding force that shapes our actions, our thoughts, and our energy. When we live with intention, we move through life with purpose. Every decision, every step, every interaction becomes an opportunity to align with our higher self and the vision we have for our lives. For many years, I lived on autopilot, going through the motions, reacting to life instead of intentionally creating it. But once I learned the power of intention, everything shifted. I realized that I don't have to be a passive participant in my life. I can choose how I show up, how I think, and how I engage with the world. Living with intention requires mindfulness. It's about being aware of the present moment and making conscious choices that align with our deepest desires and values. It's about deciding what we want to bring into our lives and letting go of what no longer serves us. When we live with intention, we stop drifting and start navigating. I began setting clear intentions for every area of my life, my career, my relationships, my health, and my personal growth. Each day became an opportunity to move closer to the person I wanted to be, the life I wanted to create. And the more I lived with intention, the more powerful I felt. My life began to flow with purpose, and I realized that everything I needed was already within me. Living with intention is not about perfection. It's about commitment. It's about showing up for yourself every day and making choices that align with who you are becoming. When you live with intention, you take responsibility for your life and your journey. You stop waiting for things to happen and start creating the life you truly desire. Chapter 11. The Power of Forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools for healing. It's easy to hold on to resentment, anger, and hurt, but doing so only keeps us trapped in the past. Forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for ourselves. It's about releasing the grip that past pain has on our hearts and allowing ourselves to heal. I remember a time when I was carrying a heavy burden of anger towards someone who had wronged me. For years, I held on to the pain, replaying the betrayal in my mind over and over again. I thought that holding on to the hurt was a way to protect myself, but in reality, it was only keeping me stuck. It wasn't until I truly understood the power of forgiveness that I was able to let go. I realized that by holding on to the anger, I was giving my power away. I was allowing someone else's actions to control my emotional state. Forgiveness doesn't mean that what happened was okay. It simply means that you choose to release the hold that the past has on you. Forgiveness is not an overnight process. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to heal. But once you choose to forgive, you free yourself. You stop carrying the burden of pain and resentment, and you open yourself up to peace. Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior of others. It's about reclaiming your peace and moving forward with your life. When we forgive, we let go of the need for justice or retribution. We stop waiting for the other person to make things right. Instead, we take back control of our lives, choosing to live in freedom and peace. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-love. It's the key to healing and emotional liberation. Chapter 12. Trusting the journey. Life is a journey, not a destination. We hear this phrase often, but how many of us actually live it? We are constantly looking ahead, always planning for the future, always seeking to arrive at some final point. But what if the journey itself is the destination? I've spent much of my life chasing goals, pursuing dreams, and trying to get somewhere. But somewhere along the way, I realized that the real beauty of life lies in the journey. The ups, the downs, the detours, the struggles, and the victories, they all come together to create a rich, colorful experience. Trusting the journey means letting go of the need to control every step. It means allowing life to unfold organically, knowing that the experiences we encounter along the way are exactly what we need for our growth. It means embracing uncertainty and finding joy in the process, even when we don't have all the answers. I remember a time when everything felt uncertain. My plans had fallen apart, and I was unsure of what was coming next. But instead of resisting the unknown, I decided to trust the journey. I took each day as it came, knowing that everything would work out in the end. And looking back now, I can see that those uncertain moments were some of the most transformative of my life. Trusting the journey is about surrender. It's about trusting that everything is happening for a reason, even when we can't see the full picture. Life has a way of unfolding in ways we can't predict. Sometimes, the path we think we should be on isn't the one that will lead us to where we're meant to go. But when we trust the journey, we allow ourselves to be guided by something greater than ourselves, something that knows exactly where we need to go. Chapter 13. The Amazing Ending. A New Beginning. And so, we arrive at the conclusion of this journey. But as you've likely realized by now, this is not the end. It's merely a new beginning. The purpose of life, the wisdom we acquire, the growth we experience, and the relationships we build, they are all part of an ever-evolving story. The true beauty of life lies not in the destination, but in the journey itself. It is a never-ending cycle of learning, growing, loving, and becoming. As we navigate this journey, we uncover new layers of ourselves, new possibilities, and new dreams. And just when we think we've arrived, life opens up a new chapter, inviting us to continue the adventure. So, as we close this book, I urge you to remember that this is just the beginning. You are the author of your own life, and the pages are still blank, waiting to be filled with your unique story. Embrace the journey, trust the process, and continue to grow. The adventure is yours to create. The end is just the start. Your journey has only just begun. Ending, the journey never ends. So here we are, at the end, or should I say, the beginning. That's right. The end of this book is just the start of your personal journey. The pages of your life are still being written, and the ink you use is made of dreams, choices, and the courage to keep going, even when it feels like the world is throwing curveballs your way. What you've learned here, the insights you've gathered, and the wisdom you've discovered are just stepping stones to something bigger. Don't stop now. The road is long, but it's yours to travel, and every step forward brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. You are the hero of your own story, whether it's a comedy, a drama, or a sci-fi adventure. It's up to you to make it epic. Remember, life doesn't have a map. There's no one-size-fits-all blueprint, but there's magic in the unknown, beauty in the struggle, and power in the process. So go out there and trust the journey. Take chances. Fall down. Get back up. And most importantly, never stop growing. The world is waiting. Your adventure has just begun. Abundance Reflections. Now, I will proceed to ski-daddle. Yours truly, Oski I am. Oski out.